Hola, hola, hola.
All right, it's hot out here.
Tonight, tornadoes tore through Matador. That's a North Texas town, killing 3 people and causing
Best town name
widespread
ever.
damage.
We don't care
Meanwhile,
about that.
dangerous record heat is also impacting millions of people across Texas and the areas around it. ABC.
There's more in this clip. I just thought this one was funny because it's breaking news. Tornado killed people. Anyway, it's hot.
Anyway, it's hot, guys. Was the tornado on fire?
Well, the tornado's not.
Triple-digit temperatures are scorching Texas, with several cities clocking in at more than 110 degrees. Residents in the Lone Star State expected to bake a while longer as the heat index reached over 120 degrees. In Houston, officials say more than 100 heat-related emergency calls have been received since the weekend. Doctors say signs of heat-related illness include heavy sweating, muscle cramps, dizziness, and nausea.
Also signs of a menstrual cycle.
I was going to say that was signs of menopause, but I guess that's pretty much the same.
Families trying to cool down are creating huge demand on Texas electric grid. ERCOT, the electric utility company, is asking residents to voluntarily reduce energy consumption.
We don't want.
I just love.
Hey guys, we know it's hot outside. So in response, we would like you to let it be hot inside as well so that we don't have to do our job.
Yeah. ERCOT literally is saying, guys, we know we've always done our job. We know we've always performed. Can you just give us a little slack for the heat?
ERCOT's like trying to quiet quit.
They really are trying to quiet quit. Like, ERCOT telling us to turn our AC down or not use our AC to save power is like a teacher telling you to fail a test to save paper or something like that.
ERCOT reminds me of insurance. It's like, hey, we have to have this, but by the way, if you use it, we're increasing our prices.
And we'll never actually help you.
And we'll never actually help you.
Shouts out ERCOT. I was going back and forth with a good friend of ours on the Texish Instagram yesterday. Great photographer, wonderful person. And she made some ERCOT joke. And I said, so if we made ERCOT toilet paper, would it sell or not sell? And I think it would sell.
I think it would sell out.
End up without electricity for too long.
This type of heat is not new to Texas or Oklahoma, but it is showing up earlier. Scientific data finding that the extreme heat scorching Texas was made 5 times more likely due to the human effects of climate change. Dangerous weather is hitting other parts of the South. In North Carolina, water rescues underway after storms caused flooding in the region.
This is what was left behind after the water rose up and washed out what was right underneath the roadway.
So weird.
Hail and heavy rain also hitting parts.
They went to that site and that guy was like, "Wait, don't film yet. I'm gonna go stand in the ditch."
Of Louisiana, and flood alerts are forecast from Virginia to Florida.
Nice
the CDC reminds those coping with the heat to drink plenty of water, limit your
coping with the heat.
In the CDC, the Center for Disease Control?
It might be the climate.
The climate. There's too many acronyms.
Conglomerate or something. Or it's
Climate Destruction Company.
Or it's that CDC, who knows? But is the phrase coping with the heat weird to you?
A little bit.
Who says that? For those of you coping with the heat, you cope
sounds
with
like a therapist.
cancer. You just deal with the heat.
Yeah, in Texas, it's not so much coping as surviving.
Time outdoors and also wear loose-fitting clothing. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Every bachelorette party.
This just in, tonight, tornadoes tore through Matador. That's a North
clothing.
Texas town, killing 3 people and causing widespread damage.
Stop playing.
Oh.
I stopped it, don't worry. Wear loose clothing. And every single gym bro in Austin, Texas was like, but I just got my U Small Gym Shark shirts in.
I mean, our gym, it's like short shorts and no shirts, so I think we're all fine.
Is it better to wear more clothes to block the sun, or is it better to have no?
I'm just going to point out in the Middle East, they wear robes, so there's got to be something to that, right?
What do you mean they?
You know, they. The royal them. Those people.
So fun to do. Yeah, so it's hot. It's really hot in Texas.
Heat index in Austin today was 117, which is the record.
What is the heat index?
It's how hot it feels. So based on humidity,
okay.
That's why when you go to like Houston, even though it's only technically like 100 degrees, it feels like 1,000 because it's just so pervasive.
It's interesting. I'm in Andrews back home right now watching mom and dad's dog.
More of a dry heat.
Yeah, well, it is more of a dry heat. I walked outside today, and yes, it's 101, but it feels better than 103. Feels like 114 in Fort Worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what are you doing to combat the heat right now? To cope with the heat?
Staying inside. I really, really don't function well in the heat, as you know. It's one of my least favorite things in the world. Even as much sauna as I do, every single second in there is miserable. I would rather ice bath in so many ways. So mostly I am staying hydrated. I'm drinking lots of Element. I take long walks because right now that's kind of all I can do as far as exercise. So I'm walking earlier in the morning or later in the evening, trying to avoid the hottest parts of the summer. And for a while there, we had a friend across the street, so we had access to the pool. But one of the residents complained, and now we don't have access anymore.
What? When did that happen?
It happened recently. We were with our friend Danny, and we were walking out of the pool, and the property manager comes up, and he's like, hey, I'm really, really sorry. One of the residents has complained. They sent an email that you guys are using the pool, and you aren't residents. So I'm going to have to ask that unless Danny is with you, you don't come over and use the pool. So we still technically can use it. It's just like very limited usage.
Yeah. Was Danny freaking out? Also, who tattles on that stuff anymore?
We have a theory that one of my roommates was having a flirtation with one of the residents that he never ended up like securing a date with.
Was it Christian again? Can you just say
of course
his
it
name?
was. Yeah. Well, we can.
Yeah.
But it seems rude.
Well, we're there. I didn't say his last name.
Fair enough. Good thing he doesn't listen to the podcast. Anyway. We think that there was a woman scorned involved because, and here's why we think that. Within the email, apparently it said that we were standing around outside asking to be let in and accosting residents, which is a lie because we got buzzed in every time. There was one time where like somebody was walking in and we walked in with them, but Danny was like meeting us at the pool that time, so it didn't matter. And so the whole time she's telling us this, the property manager. Shout out Bailey, she's awesome, and was like, I'm so sorry, you guys seem cool, I can't have you abusing the system and blah blah blah. And I was like, hey, it's totally fine, I get it, thank you for telling us, you've handled this very well. Just so you know, we never accosted anybody to be let in. That's not really our style.
We never, since we're 30 years old,
exactly.
Anybody to get into this apartment
to get into an apartment pool. I have better things to do with my time.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it's like, listen, I understand that we abused the system. Totally, I'll take ownership over that. We definitely were hanging out at the pool a lot because it's hot.
Yeah, and as you should.
Yeah, it's hot as hell. But I will not stand for lies.
No, that I can't abide.
That I cannot abide.
Speaking of lies.
Accordingly, Dr. Peter Hotez, who is what would happen if Dr. Fauci crossbred with a maniacal koala bear, didn't like Kennedy using the deadly act of free speech to express accurate information. Because as you know by now, the biggest source of misinformation out there is factual information. It kills 5 out of every 4 people. Never motivated by a conflict of interest, Hotez then heroically swung into altruistic action like a non-binary Batman to save people from the pandemic of free speech that originated in Joe Rogan's lab. He did so with this tweet. Spotify has stopped even sort of trying to stem Joe Rogan's misinformation. It's really true, Anna Merlin. Just awful. Whoever that is. And from all the online attacks I'm receiving after this absurd podcast, it's clear many actually believe this nonsense. The plot...
Okay. Have you been following this at all?
A little bit. And to call a podcast with RFK Jr., JFK Jr. I'm getting my acronyms mixed up again. Yeah.
Robert
to call
Kennedy
a podcast with him ridiculous is ridiculous.
Fair. Well, it's also
You know
funny,
what I mean? Like,
yeah. What is that doctor's name again? I'm forgetting it in this moment.
Fauci?
The one that's tweeting.
The one, I can't remember his name.
He'll say it again. By the way, it's a video from
Sure.
Awaken with JP. We might not agree with everything he says, yada, yada, yada. Makes great content. Really enjoy following him. We have a good friend that's one of his video guys. Does these fake news things. Was trying to pull something to bring up this interesting thing where you've got Robert Kennedy coming on Joe Rogan's podcast. You have this other doctor whose name I'm going to pull up so that we say his name
So
right.
they get it right.
Joe Rogan.
Thanks, Jamie.
Peter Hotez, who has also been on the Joe Rogan Experience before. So, like, both guys have been on the podcast.
Yeah.
And,
Equal opportunity.
Well, equal opportunity, and, you know, this doctor pretty much comes out and says, this is all, pulls the misinformation card, ridiculous podcast, yada, yada. And so then Rogan
then began to thicken as Joe Rogan responded to Hotez's tweet with, Peter. That should be Dr. Peter to you, Rogan. If you claim what RFK Jr. is saying is misinformation, I am offering you $100,000 to the charity of your choice if you're willing to debate him on my show with no time limit.
Let's go.
Okay, off the bat, I'm just going to say, 100,000 is a drop in the bucket for Rogan. He should have said $500,000. I think he should have gone that far.
Sure.
But I think he knew that this guy was going to say no, so there was no point in offering.
Right. He could have offered $1 million and been like, and still been pretty sure it wouldn't happen.
But also, how funny of a world is it that we live in that this is how this stuff happens? How was this type of conflict handled before Twitter? Now you just have one of the biggest podcast hosts in the world replying to what a doctor said online. And, you know, again, as we said, Dr. Hotez has been on Rogan's show before.
Yeah.
Talking partially about how he's a junk foodaholic, so maybe we shouldn't trust him for too much health advice.
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah. At this point, what do you think of this whole Robert Kennedy running for president and some of his ideas and thoughts on vaccines and that sort of stuff? Where's Seth sitting at this point?
If we want to put this on YouTube, we can't say that word.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's kind of my initial thoughts. If the Democrats and this is just objectively, want their best case scenario, you go with RFK Jr. Political dynasty, he's somebody who can actually interest the people that are on the fence. And Democrats are going to vote Democrat no matter what. So what you want is the independents who go either way, which is kind of how Trump got elected last time, is the people who are on the fence went with him, right?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of my opinion. Insofar as all the vaccine stuff, I just don't know. Like, science, right? Like, clearly there were things that were wrong whenever they got pushed out. Clearly they said one thing and then went back on that several times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where I stand with it is, wish I would never have gotten it.
Fair point.
Yeah.
What do you think that Hotez even considered for a second actually going on JRE and debating RFK, or do you think he's for sure saying no matter what, no matter how far this Twitter beef is about to go?
I'm thinking he says no matter what, and it's because RFK Jr. is a politician and he's a doctor, and no matter how good of a doctor you are, there's a high level of probability that somebody well versed in rhetoric will pummel you in any type of speaking engagement.
Well, I mean, if there's anyone you have a chance with for a speaking engagement, it's RFK.
Tweet was viewed by more than 55 million people, and given that Hotez is a courageous man who stands for absolute truth on the topic, and RFK is a lying, crazy conspiracy theorist, seems like it'd be an easy debate for Hotez to win while earning a lot of money to support his favorite charity. So he'd have everything to gain and nothing to lose by embarrassing Kennedy on Rogan's show in front of an audience of tens of millions of people. Right? But for some reason, Hotez dragged his feet on the debate a bit. His tweet responding to Rogan's was, "Joe, that's Dr. Rogan to you, Peter. You have my cell, my email. I'm willing to speak with you. This is a non-answer. I challenged you publicly because you publicly quote tweeted and agreed with that dog Vice article. If you're really serious about what you stand for, you now have a massive opportunity for a debate that will reach the largest audience a discussion like this has ever had. If you think someone else is better qualified, suggest that person." That tweet was...
Number one, what do you think of Rogan finally just acknowledging, like, this is the biggest platform in the world?
He does that occasionally in small ways, but it's always funny to see it happen, where he's just like, look, man, this is the biggest chance you are ever going to have to say what you want to say. Truly.
Literally, and say whatever you want to
whatever
say.
you want. Where do you fall on all this, man?
This whole situation? Mm-hmm. We're all going to die. Everything's doomed. No, I think... I don't have fully formed thoughts on it yet. I think that Robert Kennedy is a very interesting and clearly intelligent person. He's done a lot of work on the water conservation, environmental conservation side of things from a poly perspective. You can't take that away from him. I think being raised as a Kennedy is probably a little weird. And
probably
culturally, I do think it's funny that there's this growing coalition of people that... Like, I don't believe in vaccines. I'm anti-vaccines, all vaccines. Also, here's my gun.
Sure.
That, you know, saying that from a lifted dually pickup is becoming more and more normal. So that, just as a social experiment, I think it's interesting to see that type of person come to the forefront and back someone like RFK, because that just wasn't going to happen 5 years ago.
No, not at all.
At the end of the day, I do think Anthony Fauci is a crook, and it's absolute tragedy that anybody has ever trusted that guy. And then this Dr. Hotez guy, probably smart with science, definitely smart with science. He looks like a gremlin aged about 100 more years, and he's probably a bit of a pussy. But, you know, I wish it was more attractive for someone like him to accept that opportunity to go on the biggest platform in the world and have a discourse about something as divisive now as vaccines in general, YouTube, as the V word, and not just in terms of the COVID version, but all vaccines. You know, I think. Because for me, I try not to just inherently trust anybody, even if RFK is pretty enticing, but I'd rather hear two people on different ends of the spectrum with their own expertise debate it without a time limit to learn something. And so I think it's tragic that someone like this would prop themselves up as intelligent and as for the people, but is unwilling to wade into the waters of discourse, because now that just tells me, well, you probably think you're going to be proven wrong. So
yeah, that's what it looks like. And
that's just my opinion.
Even if that's not what he thinks, that's what the public is going to take away from this. Because when you run from a fight like that, you're admitting defeat.
Yeah. Now, on the other side of that, there's people who come to this guy's house and demanding him to debate. Equally messed up. Let's not lose sight of the fact that, like we like Awaken with JP. JP Sears is really funny.
Really funny dude.
The dude's got
really
some
good dude.
extreme followers as well. Not really his fault. But, like, there's people in their mom's basements listening to only JP and Daily Wire. Those are the people showing up at Dr. Hotez's house demanding a debate. Right. So the whole
seen by more than 37 million people. Dr. Hotez has him right where he wants him, right? Given that Hotez has nothing to hide and all of Kennedy's lies to expose, you'd think there's no way he wouldn't commit to the debate, right? Well, Hotez's next reply tweet was, "I'm happy to come on and clear the air. I respect you and your show. I don't want an adversarial relationship. I think we can work well together." And that's dodging the debate in a very astute scientific way. To which Rogan's response to him was, "To those misunderstanding what he's saying, he's not agreeing to debate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's just offering to come on my show by himself." That's the exact kind of thing that someone who's high on horse medication would say. But as a scientific man of truth, safety, and effectiveness, and having nothing to hide, Hotez responded, "Joe, if you are serious about addressing and the fact that 200,000 Americans needlessly perished during our awful Delta BA.1 waves, they were terrible, because they fell victim to disinformation, I want to have that discussion." Now, his act of continuing to avoid the debate helps you know he means business when he says he wants to have that discussion.
Anyway, he pulls a stat of, 40,000 of people from our state of Texas died because of misinformation. They died because they were sick, either way. At this point, I don't know what the difference is between information and misinformation when it comes to any of this stuff. But at the end of the day, I just don't like that, again, this expert had an opportunity to prove his expertise, to maybe change some people's minds, to educate the public. But he just runs away from the fight and then pulls an arbitrary stat and blames, misinformation on it instead of something with actual substance. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he's using a number that is at least a little bit related to the topic to try and couch himself in a position of authority without having to commit any skin to the game. It's an appeal to I forget the main I forget how to classify these, but one of the main arguments is an appeal to emotion. And by invoking our state, he's trying to appeal to the emotion of these Texans died and make us feel bad because theoretically we don't believe they should have been vaccinated. And in his mind, or at least the way he's framing the argument, had they been, they would not have.
Yeah. And just to be clear, a junk foodaholic who's probably eating himself to death gets to point to that.
And look, man, I am, for the record, clearly the V word. Clearly, they work in certain instances, and thank God, because we don't have polio anymore or measles, really. There are a lot of instances of these things being extremely effective, and I definitely think that were you in an at-risk population, you it makes sense to get it. For people like you and me,
everybody. He's talking about fat people.
Well, and old. Sick, old, those things. Old and sick, same thing. Yeah. But because apparently aging is a choice, Brian Johnson.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I had to.
Goodness gracious. I'd rather listen to Dr. Hotez than Brian Johnson for 5 seconds.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I fall on it. He's trying to make himself seem bigger than and more important than a debate with RFK Jr.
Yeah.
But I think the audience would really benefit from it because if you remember, back in the day, he had on the guy who did the vegetarian documentary to debate one of the meat eater guys, and the meat eater guy was super unprepared and bombed.
Yeah, and it was a bad look. It was a
bad look. Yeah. And it is somebody who eats meat every day. I was like, this guy was super unprepared.
Yeah, which sucks.
Which really sucks.
And who's to say that RFK doesn't show up to that debate unprepared?
Super unprepared, and he might.
Yeah,
and that might happen. So
who's to say that he has horse in mouth? Who knows?
Hey man, science is gonna science. I guess. I hate to call anybody a nerd, or a geek.
A bit of a nerd.
I don't want to bully anybody.
Yeah,
but Clearly, he's afraid of being bullied, is my guess. And
Which, again,
I don't think that would happen.
If there are people showing up on his front door, he's got some legit reasons to be concerned.
Legitimately, yeah.
What sucks is I don't think he gets that if you go on the show, no one shows up at your door.
Sure.
Nobody should be showing up at his door. But
yeah, let's start there. Let's start there.
That shouldn't be happening.
It's just wild, and you said this before, that this is where we live. Like, this is the time we live in.
This is happening.
Like, this isn't happening on mainstream news. This is happening in a little studio in Austin, Texas, and a smaller studio in Austin, Texas is commenting on it.
Yeah, a virtual studio in Austin.
The virtual studio.
We're commenting on somebody tweeting
on
about
somebody.
That's what's happening. Anyway, speaking of bullies and nerds, watch this.
Okay.
Thuggin' with my round, my coochie pink, my booty hole brown. Where the niggas come looking for the hoes. Quit playing nigga, cause suck a bitch soul.
It's Mike Perry eating his wife's underwear.
Let my nigga, he just took a bitch down. Yeah, that nigga dick a bitch down. Yeah.
Why though?
That nigga eat me out.
So Platinum Mike Perry
That's not how you wear that.
Might be my favorite person on the planet right now. Do you follow him at all, or
I don't, not really. I know who he is, but
dude.
I don't follow him.
Number one, great fighter.
Yeah.
Amazing fighter.
Yes.
Well, before I say anything else, Mike, if you're listening, you can kill me.
Hey, Mike, don't hurt us.
Don't hurt us. But yeah, I saw that video last week.
Did he post that?
He posted that. That's from his Instagram.
Okay.
On his Instagram, not a story. He posted a video of, here, watch it again. It's him sniffing and eating.
I don't really want to watch it.
No, watch the thing. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so he licks it, and then he puts it in his mouth. A lot of it in his mouth.
Right.
And he sniffs it again. And I think he puts
and then he decides it's a stylish hat.
Yeah, it's a hat.
The whole time.
So that video was on his Instagram, and the caption was.
And I'm sure it did 0 views. I'm sure nobody saw this.
Nobody saw it. That is the face of a man who can kill me.
Yeah.
The caption was "When you love her." That was the caption.
So okay, you're Mike Perry's wife. How do you feel?
She commented, "Michael OMG laughy face." That is how you feel about it.
Oh man, I don't know how I feel about that.
We talk a lot in the Christian community about being equally yoked. If you're commenting OMG Michael laughy face to this, equally yoked. I'm glad they found bliss. I am glad they found bliss. I kind of wish he had leveled it up and like grabbed his jockey strap or his underwear and done a similar video.
I mean, that's only fair.
Yeah. So you don't follow him at all. Like you haven't.
No, I haven't. I haven't dived into I haven't
We're not having
dived.
Groups
well,
of
it was great timing because he was on Joe Rogan as well.
And just running into each other on a football field.
Was he wearing his hat?
Fuck out of each other.
Come on, let's go, America. Let's do the American team versus that big Russian team, man. Let's see what happens. 200 on 200.
So yeah, he will fight anybody at any time. During this interview, he talks about how he would fight aliens for sure. Would love to fight the Russians.
Wouldn't we all?
And it's he's just a patriot, and I've loved watching him. Another cool thing, he's super into finance.
Training is everything. Whether you're stepping into the ring or trading online.
See that coming.
That's why I use Market Cypher. It's like having a coach in my corner guiding me every step of the way. The market can be a brutal opponent, but with Market Cypher, I'm always ready to go bare knuckle and come out on top. Even if you're a beginner, Market Cypher gives you the tools to become a champion. It's all about reading the market and knowing when to strike. Market Cypher gives me the confidence to make the right moves at the right time. And that's what it's all about. Winning.
Market Cypher, the bare knuckle champion of technical image.
Oh my god, that's almost as bad as digital ads I have made.
It just makes me think of those SNL videos where they'd be like, "Hi, we aren't porn stars anymore."
Yeah.
I'm Brecky, and this is my friend Brecky.
And I forget.
It's my middle school coach who said, "You'll never do pornos." Why'd you say that to a 12-year-old?
Also, you wrong, bro.
Wrong, bro. Yeah, so I only found this sponsorship because I was on his Instagram page the other day, and Jenny's a big fan too. And she goes, why does it just say Market Cypher in his bio? It just says Market Cypher underneath, at sponsor, at sponsor. And I immediately think he just forgot to put at Market Cypher.
Probably.
And I looked it up and I found this ad.
Such a great ad. I'm gonna go. This is like, you got to send this to Dad.
I have lost thousands already. So thank you, Market Cypher.
Thank you, Market Cypher. Okay, is Mike Perry like a good trader and he just has trouble reading copy?
Look, if he is a good trader, there is some Rain Man level stuff going on for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, he can
fighters
anybody.
and Rain Man, they have one thing in common.
Good
touch of the tism.
Just a touch.
Just a touch.
But he is he's having a great year. He's in bare knuckle boxing. He's taking that by storm. Just finished out his contract, so he's sort of a free agent right now. He's had some good UFC fights as well. But yeah, if you
I hear he's starting a new panty line. It's called Edible by Mike.
I thought it was called Muff Divers by Mike.
Muff Divers by Mike. They're all muffin flavored.
Yes, muffin flavored.
Muffin by Mike. Muffin by Mike.
Mike, if you're listening.
The blueberry flavor is delicious any time of day. Just makes for a great snack.
The saltwater flavor was not my favorite though. A little tuna fishy. Anyway,
speaking of tuna fish.
Yeah.
Have you? Do you have the Titanic stuff coming up?
I didn't pull any clips for that. But
okay, let's just talk about it for a second because that's a decent segue.
Yeah, we can segue. Let me get this off.
Yeah. What's next? Boop. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was all the clips I pulled. Just Mike Perry and Joe Rogan stuff. Because most of my attention today. What did you check out before we hopped on though? That they found debris from the submarine.
They found debris, so they haven't found the sub itself, but they did find debris. I have a big question throughout all of this, and this is my biggest question. If you're going to have a submarine that costs a ton of money and put people worth a ton of money in that submarine, wouldn't you put like a $5 GPS tracker in there?
That's a really good point, actually. Do you think it's so deep that you can't track it?
I don't know.
There's a lot of questions here. Well, immediately when this happened,
there's so many questions. But
immediately when this happened, so many people came out and said, "We told this guy not to build it. It's not very well designed. It's not
and apparently
very
there's
safe."
Lawsuits.
Yeah, it's literally that. You remember that adventure park, or class action park up in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Where people would die on the rides, and it was just
every
sketchy.
year, and they were just
every
whatever.
This submarine was the submarine.
The action park of submarines.
The action park of submarines.
Man.
But it still cost $250,000 to
go on this
ride
thing.
in it.
And look, let's clarify. Anytime people lose their lives in a situation, it's a tragedy. And this is no different.
Just like we opened, you got to mention it, and then all right,
you got to mention it, and then okay, cool.
Yeah, now what we really want to talk about.
I did see a hilarious joke. Titanic 2, Rich People 0.
That's good.
It was good. It was nice. It was. It hurt me in the heart just a little bit,
but also that's pretty good.
It was pretty good.
How rich do you have to be to think? Well, $250,000 to ride in a plastic submersible to see some of the wreckage of the Titanic through a little window.
Call me old-fashioned. If I can't snorkel down, don't want to go.
No, if it's not safe to dive on my own down there, I think we should just go ahead and not do it. It's fine.
There's a lot of stupid shit that I will do.
Yeah,
that is not one. That is going in a submarine is not part of the plan. Well,
this one's also fun because it's not like, oh, I'm hanging out in the Caribbean. I'll just hop on the boat for the day to go see the Titanic and then come back to this tropical paradise. You're in the middle of the Atlantic, the upper Atlantic. You're on an industrial ship getting in a submarine. James Cameron has already done his work. It's not like anything important's going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe it's good that they died. I wish that cruise ship people had been in the submarine instead, but maybe we can get rid of them a different way.
Yeah, I feel like cruise ship people end up Darwining themselves out of life more often than not.
Probably a little bit. Or they
Maybe
survive just because they're literally, how seals survive so long.
Oh, yeah.
But I
that's specific
love
to Carnival for sure.
News, because the news right now is we found debris, but no bodies, so we can't guarantee they're dead.
And you're like,
okay.
You're like, you sure about that?
I don't think a human being floating on the surface after coming up hundreds of feet is going to get swept away by the tide so far that nobody has found them yet.
Yeah.
They're dead. They're definitely dead.
This is morbid, but like something goes wrong in a submarine like that, you kind of know that it's over.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you think they just went ahead and killed the CEO and like out of anger? Because I would have.
Was he on? Like the guy?
He was on. Yeah.
He was on it. They had to have killed him.
Right.
Right. I would kill. Would you kill him before it's all?
I would
over?
Try. I'd be like, look, we're talking air here, and I feel like this is your fault. So.
But I mean,
sorry.
Also, it looks like there was enough information out there about how sketchy this submarine already was.
Yeah.
Maybe it's their fault. Sorry if that's not sensitive enough, but
I don't know. Like I get it, but also like there was a 19-year-old kid, and it's not like he had much of a choice.
Well, that sucks.
The guy's son. Yeah.
Yes, that sucks. But even still, to the father, there's responsibility of, well, if you've read the articles about how not safe this is.
Sure. I personally, and this is just me, I feel like there's a responsibility of humanity to be like, I'm good. I don't need to be in a submarine and see the time. I'm fine. I'm fine. Maybe it's a good idea to not go down to wrecks. I feel like there's a reason they're wrecked. So, like, I'm good.
So let's just leave it there. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like going to like a city dump expecting to find gold. It's like I'm good. Like I don't need to go there.
We don't have to go there. Well, also there's so many shipwrecks that are 10 feet below. Just go look at that. It's probably
dude. You know what's a lot of fun? Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disney. Like just go check that out. That's like that's fun for the whole family. There's practically zero chance of dying in a submarine.
Yep. It's
But I am like saddened for the family and because it is a tragedy, but also it's like if you get bit by a shark in the ocean, you were in the ocean. Like
you were there.
You were there.
You were in its home. Yeah, I mean just Yet another example that we cannot harness Mother Nature really at all. Especially with poorly designed submarines.
Look, I'm claustrophobic. So the second that they go, hey, so yeah, we bolt it in. Like, there's no quick release. We bolt. We use bolts to seal this. I'd be like, no.
Nope, I'm out.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I'm gonna need an escape hatch.
Yeah. Why? Do you think there was an escape plan or an exit strategy?
No,
or
I don't think they had one.
That's really sad.
I think if they had an escape, like an escape plan or like an emergency evacuation.
They would have been found.
We would have been like it would have at least been in the news. They would have been like, hey, this is what could have happened.
Yeah.
The little eject button or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
don't know, man.
Is it poetic justice that it happened near the Titanic?
It's definitely poetic. I don't know if it's justice, but it's definitely poetic.
Well, because part of the Titanic thing was people were too proud to
to
not
there were problems.
do what they were doing.
Yeah.
Were people, other than the 19-year-old kid, too proud to say, maybe we shouldn't do this?
Maybe. I don't know.
There's something there.
There's something there.
There's a slam poem in there somewhere.
Oh, there's at least one, maybe two.
Hook, line, and sinker. Am I right?
Well, how's mom and dad's place? Look, we're both in different houses. I'm chilling in the Shadow Oak Library main set before it transitions over to her new set. Shout out Jess.
Shout out Jess. Yeah, you're cat sitting while I'm dog sitting. I don't know where the dog is right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
he's somewhere. Yeah,
he's a very large animal, so he can't.
Yeah,
he can't go far.
Get too far. Yeah, he's a lot, but he's fine.
Well, what are you gonna do while you're in Andrews? You gonna go? You gonna go hit Cassidy's? Or gonna hit do all the hometown hero stuff?
Cassidy's is under new ownership, so I'm not gonna go. I'm probably not gonna go anywhere. I'm just gonna stay here and run and sleep and eat. Miss my wife a lot.
That's fair.
Try to keep Hank alive.
He's pretty, he'll be fine. He's resilient.
I think he is.
He's a Rogers.
The only thing I've been thinking of as far as weird Andrews things since I've gotten home is our mom was Mustang Beauty back in the day, which was and I think this was normal at other high schools back then. You would vote on the best looking chick in the senior class. It was Mustang Beauty at ours. And what was fun was there was a wall in high school with every Mustang Beauty of all time. So when we went to high school, everybody got to point at our mom and point that out. That was fun. But even more than that, I had a moment where I realized the Dallas Cowboys technically voted on, chose who won Mustang Beauty. They would, the student body would elect the 4 nominees. So that's a group of high schoolers saying these are the hottest chicks. And then the administration would put pictures of them in an envelope and send them to adults with a note that said, "Pick your favorite."
I don't know what's worse to think. That they just
our mom
randomly...
was probably 17 at the time.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So one of two things happened. Either they actually did have players sit down and be like that one, or they just randomly chose the one because they were like, it's weird if adult men.
I would hope that at least someone even back then thought, isn't this kind of weird?
Just like some random dude. Excuse me, Jerry. This is effed up.
Hey, we don't know how old they are, and even if they're 18, we are all
still
30.
weird.
Yeah.
We're all in our 30s. This is odd.
That just hit me as I was driving in, thinking of Andrews things, and that whole process just so they were subjecting 17-year-old girls to the beauty opinions of Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
And Troy Aikman. It's a little weird. Or it was just Jerry Jones because he's a creep. Anyway.
I can just see Jerry eating his McDonald's with a wall of teenage girls. Just
Dude,
he's choosing a lineup.
He still has the Polaroids of every high school hot girl contest ever from 1970 to the 1990s.
That would be very creepy and unsurprising.
I would not put it past him. Maybe that's why God's against the Cowboys.
Maybe so.
That
would explain a lot, right?
It would. I'm just saying. Yeah, how are you gonna beat the Heat in Austin this week?
One of our friends is doing a little pool gathering. Not quite a pool party, just a little gathering. I'm probably gonna hit the Springs at some point. Yeah. It's nice. I mean, it's hot. It's just hot.
It's too hot to be outside. It's dangerously hot.
It is too hot to be outside. Yeah. I was outside for all of about 30 minutes yesterday and thought I had a heat stroke. It was bad.
Well, I'm glad you're alive, and I'm glad that you're staying cool.
Same. What about you? How are you staying cool in Andrews, Texas?
Just staying inside. I'll run in the morning, beat the heat, eat mom's cookies, go to bed, repeat.
It sounds about right.
Heck yeah. Well, I love you, big brother.
I love you too, buddy.
All right. If you guys like these reaction videos, don't forget, subscribe, share, buy shirts at TexishPod.com, invest with Market Cypher, according to Mike Perry. And bye, y'all.